all here, come in here into this room when the weather is still so spectacular outside. But on the other hand, maybe that spectacular weather drove you out of your homes and here to see, Petra would already know that though. But not to make light of any of Petra's psychic abilities. The one thing I do want to say to Petra though is, I've only been here for 2 years, but I don't think I've ever seen so many guests show up for a meeting. So now I'm wondering if the guests saw something about you and the Optimist and said to themselves, let's go check out this Petra and let's go check out what's really going on at Tsawwassen's own reading room. Let me tell you a little bit about Petra and then I'm going to turn the show over to her. Petra works to bring about the changes needed in people's lives to reach their fullest potential and to become better versions of themselves through all of her own healing modalities. She is excited to share with us tonight some of those principles and some of those practices she's put into place for herself over the years and for others. And you'll also hear more about some of the principles and practices and things that really do go on at the reading room. So any of you who have walked by Tsawwassen's own reading room and just went, no, I don't think I need to know any of that. No, I don't think I need to buy those special rocks. You may change your mind by the end of the night. The first thing you need to know about Petra, other than her well-advertised psychic abilities, is that she has worked with people suffering life-threatening illnesses and their caregivers every day within her own charity work. Her own medical knowledge over the years has become quite extensive. Petra has a special insight and empathy, having faced her own mortality and having been a caregiver herself. Now, I'm not exposing anything about Petra that you otherwise would not read. You'd be able to read any of that in her own website. And she's going to share a lot of that mortality and her own experiences with us all tonight. So Petra, if you can quit filming me, I want to give you the floor.
Thank you. And proud that you have all showed up here today. I can't believe how many of you there are. It kind of makes my heart pound. It's been a while since I did a speech. So yeah, my name is Petra Hoffman. I'm better known as Petrabilities. And that name was born in the year 2000 on Gabriola Island. And I've honed that business ever since. So I am what's called a psychic card reader. And I work for the reading room Tsawwassen a couple days a week. We also will be doing classes and workshops there. I'll speak a little bit more about that. I'm a mental health counselor, and I'm also a clinical hypnotherapist, which means I've got all of my certification to go to the top of the hypnotherapy ladder, so to speak. What I do and what I really love to do is to bring all those modalities together. So if you were to come to me for a card reading and I know that you're suffering stress or anxiety or the such, I would probably teach you breathing techniques. I would probably teach you affirmations, mindfulness, meditation, all of those things. We'll be doing that on a bigger scope at the new reading room in Tsawwassen. So we opened up, when was it? October 30th. We opened. My first day was the 31st on Halloween. And yeah, and we've already decided that we need a bigger space to do the meditation and the circles and all of that. And also because we wanted to put the reading rooms in the back where there's more privacy. Okay, because the one we have now, number 107 in the mall, Tsawwassen Town Center Mall, the reading rooms are kind of in the middle and you don't get as much privacy. So now we've got them in the back and it's a beautiful space. You can't miss it. It's right beside the liquor store. So we'll have a lot more people seeing us. And you're right, because we see everybody that goes by the window and they look a little scared to come in. And if I see them, I'll call them in. Come on, don't be scared. Come and check out the crystals. So we've got beautiful crystals. Mary Keller is the owner of the reading room, and she is really bragging it up lately that we are offering over 100 varieties of crystals. Crystals are really powerful. They actually retain memory. And I don't know, I just found out recently myself that 83% of this earth is crystals. So when you go outside and you stand in the grass or the sand or the soil in bare feet, have you ever been depressed? It's not possible, because you're getting all that energy from Mother Earth. And it only takes 30 seconds to do what's called grounding or earthing. So if you're ever feeling depleted, down, or depressed, go take your shoes and socks off. Go to the beach, go stand in your grass. Okay? There's even blankets and stuff that people can buy now where they plug into their soil in the ground and plug it into their blankets or plug it into their outlets to do earthing inside their homes. It's really powerful stuff. And so we get a lot from up above, from the sun and the sky and the moon, but we don't get enough from beneath us. So take your shoes and socks off more often, everybody. You're going to be happier. You're going to be more grounded. Okay? So what I would like to announce is the reading room. The new grand opening is next Saturday on April 28th from 12 to 5 p.m. It's going to be catered by Illuminati. We're going to have prizes. We're going to have, I believe we've got 4 psychics there now. We all have different modalities, so some are mediums. Mediums are ones that can talk to people passed over, see people passed over. We have an angel card reader. I myself am an oracle reader. I specialize in past life regression work in my hypnotherapy work and also in my readings. You do not have to believe in past lives to come to me, lay on my couch, be regressed and end up there. And seeing is believing, and I had to see it for myself, and I've been regressed by my teacher in the past. So it's really cool. So come and see us on the 28th, 12 to 5 p.m. Come for some snacks and refreshments. Check us out. We've got crystals. We've got meditation clothing. We've got, oh my goodness, you won't run out of things to look at. There is cards, books. We have a whole array of books, how to connect. I'm going to be doing workshops there. So my first one at the new reading room is on the 30th, April 30th, Monday night, 7 to 9 p.m., where we will be doing what's called the Doorway of Transformation, and I'm going to be doing a guided meditation. So what I do with my guided meditations is I use my hypnotherapy scripts. They're always really healing. So you can either come to me and pay $250 a session, or you can come to one of our guided meditations where I'm not going to hypnotize you. I won't take you that deep, but you'll probably go deeper than you're used to. If you've ever, who's here has ever meditated? Very good, very good. That is really how to connect to what is above us. I think that everyone in the world these days knows there's something bigger than us. I don't hear anybody saying I'm an atheist, I don't believe in anything. I don't hear it anymore. I don't know if you guys hear it, but I don't. I need my water. Excuse me. I never hear people say that anymore. I think that we've gotten to a place in this world that we just know that there's something bigger than us. And that's really what we connect with. So reading opened up to me when I was in my hypnotherapy classes. And unbeknownst to me, we opened portals. And what happened was really bizarre and maybe hard for some people to believe, but I guess I opened a portal and brought in a dark energy. And I actually seen him. He was this really big man and he was evil. And you just, I don't know how to describe it or express it, but you kind of know the whole person's life in a moment. You know what they're about, you know how they think, you know how they feel, You know everything about them, and this was a really, 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 really dark entity. He actually left physical manifestation, which is a really long story, and I don't want to go into it today, but it had me believing. And then you kind of go back to the past, and it's like, I've seen energies before. I was born in Germany, and we used to go to those castles in Germany, and I used to feel the torture, hear the screams, look out at the maze, look at the Queen's throne, and just know what that whole place was about. And it scared me so much that I backed off from it. And I kind of hid that part of me and didn't want to pay attention, and that's what a lot of psychics do. And we all have psychic abilities. We all have them. Every single one of us does. It's a matter about tapping in. We as a human species are evolving so quickly now, and you're really going to start to see it more with our youth than we ever have before. Our telepathy is growing, our psychic abilities, our intuition is growing. If you feel it in your gut, it's always right. Okay? It's only that little part in our ego mind that takes us off the path. So if you can imagine, and this is something that we learn in hypnotherapy, is very much about brain science, okay? If you can imagine your brain as a circle, 5% at the top is your thinking mind, your ego mind. 95% of your brain is called your subconscious mind. That's your soul, that's your divinity, that's your higher being. And that's the part you feel in your gut. And it is never, ever wrong. The only thing that ever steers us wrong is the part that we think with, okay? And that's the superego. And I like to tell my clients, say no to the superego. Tell it to F off. You don't need it anymore. You're grown now. Follow your gut. If I'd have followed my gut my whole life, how far would I be? How far would we all be? You know your instincts have always been correct, right? Who here knows anything about hypnotherapy? One person? 2 people? That's not a lot, right? So it isn't what you see on TV. It isn't anything like that at all. And I'll tell you, it's funny because when I first became a reader, which opened up to me in my hypnotherapy classes, I bought a deck of cards. I'll tell you the story if I have time. I bought a deck of cards and I ended up having to put myself forth. Now, in the meantime, I had been laid up and on treatment for over a year. Okay, so I was on what was called a time-release chemo. What I had was hepatitis C, which is a life-threatening illness. I had had it over 25 years and didn't know. What they used to give you for that is a chemo treatment that you used to have to inject yourself, and it made you really, 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 really sick. And I've never been that sick. And so, where was I going with that? The hypnotherapy. So, it was through that course that I learned so much. I got more done. I was a real estate agent at the time. I had done real estate twice over. Didn't love it. Didn't love it. They called me the Yui Queen. I had like little old people get out of my car and their eyes would be going around and they'd say, wow, you're an interesting realtor. I did not succeed. And when people don't succeed in life, they're generally on the wrong path. So here was Spirit always trying to steer me back, and it was really taking me to my knees. That's what did it, because I was always like a chicken with my head cut off. I was always running. I was always racing the clock. I was always getting to the next meeting, and I never stopped. And so that's what I feel happens when we're in horrific car accidents or we're given an illness and taken to our knees, is we're supposed to sit still and listen, okay? And then you got a choice. You're either going to roll up in a ball and feel sorry for yourself, or you're going to get up and fight. and I decided to fight. And it was during that time that I took an online marketing course. I finished my book and became a published author. What else did I do? I became a debuted artist at the Surrey Art Gallery, and here I am amongst art. They had me on TV, Shaw Cable, and everything. And then subsequently, I took my mental health counseling course, and then a couple years later, I was at my friend's place. She had an annual lobster fest. And I come around her counter in the kitchen, and she had all these books laying on this little telephone table. And the third book fell into my hands, and I'm like, can I borrow this, or are you reading this right now? And she goes, no, my dad lent that to me, and go ahead and take it. And so I took this book, and it was Dr. Brian Weiss's book about past life regression. And I just gobbled that book up. I couldn't get enough of it. And I knew in that moment, when I put the book down, that this is what I needed to do to help people. Because here's the thing, counseling is about a 38% success rate. People go 2 steps forward and 1 step back. We can counsel people for years and only have so much success. Hypnotherapy, however, within an average of 6 sessions, leaves permanent change. 93% success rate overall, and it creates permanent change. So if you come to me with fears, phobias, stress, anxiety, anything like that, you're looking to receive permanent change. So here I lost all of my counseling clients that came to me and got hypnotherapy. And that's wonderful, right? There's enough people out there in the world that do need help. And past life regression work is the catalyst to getting more accomplished than any other modality I have ever discovered. And so how that works is, we regress you. Say you come to me with, I don't know, relationship problems, and you can't make relationships work, and you've been going through this for so long. And so we'll ask your soul to take you to the place where that first originated. So root cause, it takes you back to root cause, okay? Now that could be an age regression that's going to take you back into your childhood, or pop, you're going to end up in a past life. And we've all been here hundreds, if not thousands of times before. Whether you believe it or not, you end up there and you tell me the story. And you see a lot more than you can possibly communicate with me. But what that does is, I went to the school of the Coastal Academy of Hypnotic Arts and Science. And the teacher there, Leslie McIntosh, she wrote a book called Soul Screening. And so unless you've been to that school, if you go to a hypnotherapist and there's something traumatic, they'll then send you to a counselor. But what we do is we're taught to screen that out. So anything traumatic that happens, we write it all down. And before you come back into this lifetime, we screen all that out and leave it in the lifetime where it belongs. And you come back light as a feather. And what happens oftentimes is it'll be like a domino effect. Say you deal with your relationship issues, and then other things may fall into place. And you're going to see subtle changes in how you react. You know, I had one girl, I'm going to sit for a moment. I had one girl come to me, and she had anger management issues. And she ended up calling me, and she goes, I got in my car and I always suffer road rage. She goes, I tried to get mad, I couldn't even get mad. No matter how hard I tried, I couldn't even get mad. And I'm like, wow, that's amazing. I've had clients take me to heaven, okay? I had a 63-year-old woman come in. She wanted to know her life's purpose. So if you come and see me and you just want to experience a past life regression, and you don't have a certain issue you want to work on, we'll ask your soul to take you to where you're going to get the most resolve for this lifetime. And so she wanted to know her purpose. And the next thing I know, she says she's up in heaven and she's getting trained. She's 12 years old and she's getting trained by an angel named Josephine. And I said, well, what is Josephine teaching you? She said to bring back the light. And then all of a sudden, she started crying like a 12-year-old girl. She cried so much, she had like a lake in the cavity of her chest. And I'm like, what's wrong? And she goes, Josephine says I have to come back and I don't want to. It's so beautiful here. And it almost makes me cry because I get right into the story with them. You know, I'm an empath, so I feel what others feel. And she was just so upset that she had to come back here. But now she knew her purpose, and that was to help others. And she was 63 years old. You know, I'm 57, I'll be 58 in June. I never discovered all of this till I was 50 years old, for goodness sakes. And here I am starting my life all over again. And I love it. I wouldn't give it up for anything in the world to be able to help people on that level and to have them come back and say, wow, you know, this has been resolved, that has been resolved. And so I had one lady, the longest session I ever had. She was on my couch for 4 hours. Well, she was a Russian analytical scientist. So she analyzed everything. And when she finally left, I said, she kept texting me, well, how am I going to know this is going to work? Well, how am I going to know? And I said, just take it easy. You'll see subtle changes. You know, you'll see things that you reacted to before that you may react to differently now. And so she phones me 2 weeks later and she says, well, that baby that died, she goes, I don't think it was mine. I think maybe it was my sister's in that life. And how do I know all that was real? And I said, well, how do you know any of this is real? Because really what we believe is our reality. What you perceive is your reality, you know? And she says, well, I don't know. And I says, well, have you seen any changes? Have you felt any different? And she goes, well, yeah, my family and I are getting along a lot better these days. Everything has shifted, everything has changed. And I said, well, there it is, there's your resolve. So who really cares if it's real or not, right? You're the one telling me the story. You're the one that ended up where you ended up. So who cares if it's real or not, if it's getting you the results that you want, right? Most of you aren't going to analyze it to that degree. So, does anybody have any questions for me about hypnotherapy?
I just have one question. How far back do you regress people?
So, as far back as it goes, like if we're dealing with you and you've got stress issues, where does your soul take you? Now, there was a time when I first started this work that you'd bop around from lifetime to lifetime, and I've learned to reel people in and keep them where we need them to keep them. So, we've been here hundreds of, if not thousands of times before. So there's different lifetimes that people will go to on different occasions. It's really cool. So we're talking about like hundreds of years ago, thousands of years ago in some cases, medieval villages. I myself was regressed by my teacher. And I'm one of those people, I really need to see it to believe it. And I had chronic headaches. There was never a moment of any day, not 1 second, that I didn't have a headache. And this started with migraines when I was in my teens. And so I absolutely wanted to resolve this. And so my teacher regressed me. And I ended up in this old medieval village, and there's like all these chairs put out, and you see the buildings in behind, and there's all these chairs put out, but only a few people straggling in the audience, and they're all like looking at me and whispering, and I kind of stepped outside of my body. When you're regressed, it's like watching a movie, but you know you're the star, okay? So you're kind of outside your body as an observer. And so I stepped outside my body and I looked, and I was this little haggard woman with this gray straggly hair. I was stooped all over, but you know it's your soul, you know that's you. then I looked down, because we ask, if you come to me, we'll ask you, look down, what do you see? What are you wearing? What do you see on your feet? And I was wearing this burlap kind of tank top and this burlap skirt and really dirty burlap sandals. And I was really old and haggard. And I realized in that moment, as I looked at myself, that I had been a healer and I'd been caught. And the next thing I know, I get taken by these guys and I'm walked up the stairs and I'm hung. And I feel this searing fire pain around my neck, and then it's over. And so what happens then is we'll actually walk you to the moment that you die. And we'll have you say goodbye to anybody you need to say goodbye to. Forgive anybody you need to forgive, including yourself. And of course, I forgave the guys that hung me. And my husband, who wasn't in the audience, he was too scared. And you'll never be afraid to die again, because you actually see and feel the light. So anyone that's ever been regressed is never afraid to die again. Yeah, that fear is gone.
So you don't get back again?
Pardon?
You see, you can't get back.
Oh, you can. I'll bring you back. Yeah. Good question. Good question, though. No, we'll make sure you get back. You're not leaving my couch till we bring you back.
Do you record these sessions?
The client can record them. For me to record them, they're too big a bit files for me to send and too time consuming, but I definitely allow you to record them. Yeah, it's really cool. Same with if you come to me for a card reading, I'll let you record it. Because oftentimes your mind wanders and you want to hear it back, or you want your friends or someone to listen to it, or you want to hear it again, because you miss a lot of things. So how we do it at the reading room is we have half-hour sessions and 1-hour sessions, basically. If you just want to see what it's like, we'll do you a 3-card draw, which is about 10-15 minutes.
Do we all know what a
Yeah.
3-card draw is? I personally don't.
So
if you can explain what that is.
you would draw 3 cards. So like I always tell my clients, you don't pick the cards anyway, Spirit picks the cards. Because you'll have them actually, sometimes they'll flip right out of the deck and land on the floor.
Damn, I
And
want to
it's
see
like,
that, but okay.
yeah, you always keep that one. I'll always catch people trying to stick it back in the deck. It's like, no. And then I'm always like, because we're supposed to be opening a new casino out here, it's like, yeah, they're not going to hire you. I'm recruiting for the casino. It's like, you're not a very good shuffler. But
So
yeah.
your card readings are tarot card readings? Is
No,
that-
what I do
Okay,
have
good.
tarot cards, so now there's a different, very
Yeah.
good question, thank you. There's a difference. Tarot cards are tarot cards, and then we have oracle cards. So I'm an oracle card reader. So I have one deck that's a past life regression deck. It's the only one on the market that's past life regression. And it's actually written by the guy whose book I read. He's one of the most renowned in the world, Dr. Brian Weiss. And I can't remember who the other author is. And that's the only past life deck. So one day, when I have time, because there really is no time and space, by the way, when I have time, I want to do my own deck using my client files, right? Because I can still keep everybody confidential. Because we have the same confidentiality agreement as we do if you come to me as for counseling, okay? So I specialize a lot in addictions, chronic pain, and chronic illness, because that's where I've been most of my life. And you know, you do what you resonate with, you do what you've come through. And I think it's because I suffered a lot of abuse as a child, but also because I was an empath. And so I didn't just feel my pain, I felt the pain of everybody, you know. If you're hurting, I'm going to feel it, you know what I mean? And you got to learn to protect, and that's something else I teach, is how to protect from that. And yeah, so I turned to drugs for most of my life. I was actually raised in Tsawwassen, and I'm back 40 years later Bing, bang, boom. Never thought I would ever come back to this town. I didn't have the best experience here growing up. I was bullied in school a lot. And I never thought I'd come back. Never. But here I am. And the reason is because it wasn't just the reading room. They had come to me over a year ago, October, if they opened a shop, would I work for them, because they'd been asking everyone. I also run a group called Vancouver Card Readers. So if you want a free reading every morning and you're on Facebook, some of you might be, some of you might not, you can get a free card reading every morning. And so they had been recruiting me for a while. But I also had a lot of clients from Tsawwassen come to see me. The last place I lived was Guildford, Surrey. And a lot of people from Tsawwassen came to see me, right? Because addiction and that, it runs rampant, especially in small communities like here. I lived on Gabriel Island for 5 years, thinking I could get away from the drugs. No, I ran right into the lap of them. But it's through that and through my own experiences that I pay it forward every day and help other people through the pain, you know? So, and a lot of people now, especially here in Tsawwassen, are just curious what's past life regression. They want to come and see me, so it's really cool. So I will never, once I have you regress, like you say, I would never leave you there. I will never pull you out of that place. It doesn't matter how long it takes. You're still going to pay that one fee. It doesn't matter how long it takes. Because you can't tell how long that story is going to take. Right? Some people have a bigger one. Some people have more to deal with. And then we take all the issues that you have now also. And I write those down. We have our pre-talk. And I'll write all that down, and so all of that gets screened out and left in the lifetime where it belongs. And you come back a lot lighter. Yes?
I'm not interested in being regressed way back. Just as far as a young child when my mother died, I would like to know a bit more about that.
Age regression.
Regress people like that?
Yeah, we can absolutely do that. Yeah, we can take you back to a certain timeline if you want to visit a certain timeline when something happened, or you want to... oh, very good question, because there's also a modality that we do called courting. So if somebody has passed over, or if you have an unresolved relationship with somebody that's still here, that's fine too. We do what's called courting, where you can actually communicate with that other person, whether they're passed over or whether they're here, and you can either change the color of the cord, you can have your conversation, you can have your closure, and then you can sever the cord or change the color of the cord to a warmer color, and you're going to get your closure that way.
How does the cord work?
It's all through the mind process.
It's all through the mind process.
Yeah.
So that I almost
you,
get it.
I
Okay.
literally would walk you through that process and tell you, you know, your cord comes from your heart to the other person's heart, and tell them what you want to tell them, have whatever conversation you need to
So
have.
if we're dealing with somebody who is still in the present with us and has not passed over, do they know that
They will
they're
feel
being
it.
corded?
They will feel it.
They will.
Because
feel
we
it.
are telepathically connected.
Okay. No,
We're
I
all
just,
connected,
Yeah.
you know? And it's true, you know, they say that there's that silver thread that connects us all, that we are all one. When you do this kind of work for as long as I've been doing it, it's just very evident. We are all one. We are all connected. And these kinds of things is what's growing in our human history. We're evolving faster than we ever have, and those are the parts of us that are evolving, okay? If somebody you love has passed over and they pop into your mind out of nowhere, you feel that little tap on your shoulder, or that, you know, wind through your hair, they're there in that moment. Don't discredit that. Don't say that that's your imagination, because it isn't. Because here's the thing, and this is something else I teach everybody, is to be the third-party observer. And that's kind of like what hypnotherapy feels like. It feels like you're watching a movie, but you know you're the star. And so I ask you all now to literally, in your imagination, in your mind's eye, come out of your body and stand here. So here's Petra over here now, watching me have this conversation with you. It's going to change my perception. What this person here, this third-party observer, sees is different than me. And so there's the third-party observer. If a bullet comes through the door right now and hits me in the head, I'm dead, but this lives. That's the energy that lives. That's why we can see and feel and can talk to people that are crossed over, because their energy is still here, right? Right? And like I say again, you don't need to believe in it to end up there. You know, I've had a lot of disbelievers come and see me for a regression therapy, and they walk out believers. I've had people come to see me for card readings. I have one from the reading room in Tsawwassen. He was a total skeptic. He came to see me and he gave me a testimonial. I am no longer a skeptic. Like, we don't know, how can I possibly know all of that stuff about you if I'm not connecting to something bigger than me, right? And if you ever have been to a reading and you see a reader that gets nervous, or if you're sitting in front of that person, you're giving them no feedback. We do like a little bit of feedback to know that we're on course, because then we can open up and give you more information. But if you're sitting in front of a reader and you're giving them nothing and you just got a stoic face, a lot of readers will get nervous. When they get nervous, now comes in their thinking mind, then they lose connection. And you'll see them falter, okay? I don't allow that to happen to me. I just stay connected. I don't care what you're giving me back. If you're not giving me back anything, I'll just keep going. And a lot of times things come out that make absolutely no sense to me, but they'll make sense to you, you know? I was telling Linda earlier, you know, a lot of times, we met a woman last night. We were organizing the new reading room, and I called her in off the sidewalk to come check out the shop. And she said she had gone to a medium. A medium had spoken to her 8 years ago and told her about a family member that was adopted out. The parents couldn't, and nobody told this family. The parents kept it a secret, and 8 years later, bing, bang, boom, this woman writes her from Ireland. And so it all clicked into place, and it all made sense. And Mary actually picked up on that yesterday. She's like, have you ever done that Ancestry.com or Ancestry.ca? You should do that, because there's someone in your family that was adopted out. And the woman she was in tears. She's like, oh my God, like that just happened. And then Mary gave her a journal as a gift, and she said, I'm getting goosebumps. That's always affirmation from Spirit when I get goosebumps. And she said, you need to start writing. Do you ever write? And the woman said, no. And she goes, you need to start journaling this. And you need to start writing. There's something you need to write. And there's something you need to write to your sister, because she said the sister didn't want to communicate now, and she was angry, I guess. And she said, there's something really short and sweet. Well, the woman broke down even more. She said she just had finished writing a little card to her sister for her birthday or something, and it was really short and sweet. And said, you know, if you're ever open to it, we'd love to get together and meet you and all of that. So it had just transpired, you know.
Isn't it hard on you to hear people's stories? Does it not weigh heavy on yours?
God, you ask good questions. Because I'm such an empath, the number one fear I had when I took my counseling class, and my teacher had the same fear, was that I would break down, because I break down easy. I cry at every movie. I cry in a commercial. And I said to him, I said, I'm really scared that if my clients are sitting in front of me, I'm going to cry with them. How am I going to help them? And he said, yeah, I'm kind of worried about that too. But I don't. I can disconnect. I can disconnect. You learn to. Yeah. And for me, it was, I guess, just natural. Yeah. To not do that. Mind you, if you're like my best friend and you come and tell me your sad story, I'm going to cry with you. I can't even explain it, you know? Yeah. And you do, and any healer healer needs to protect themselves. And so we envision us in this bubble, and that's something else I do for people. We do one of the workshops I love to do that's the most successful is called a soul retrieval workshop, and that is anything that's ever happened to you where your power has been stolen when you're young, or divorce or death or car accident or anything like that where your power is taken away. Subsequently, we give away too much of our power. You know, even when you're living with your husband or your boyfriend or somebody and you sleep with them because they want you to, but not because you want to, you're subsequently giving away your power. And so this is a hypnotic process where we bring all the power back into our bodies, into the different energy points, and then I give you protection. So now you're in a bubble, make it any color you want, and then encase that with diamonds, the hardest element known to man, and nobody can take your power again unless you expressly give it to them. And we'll do that in a hypnotherapy process too, so it sticks with you. I also teach a lot of clients self-hypnosis while they're hypnotized, which was my own like little invention. It's like, why teach them this way if I can teach them when they're hypnotized and they'll retain it more, right? Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I'm not paying attention to the time. How much time have we got?
Well, I was just about to say to you, perhaps,
I was feeling that.
but you knew I was going to do this.
Yeah.
Perhaps what you'd really like to do right now, and I'm not trying to direct
No,
your
please
presentation,
do.
Petra, but if you can just give us a brief summary of what the other employees of the reading room do. If we went in there and we
please,
had in
yes.
front of us any number of different ways to, find out more about ourselves or
Yes.
find out about, people who have passed over. We know what you offer, the
Yep.
hypnotherapy and the regression. I also know
I don't do that at the reading room. No.
Okay.
It's too noisy.
Okay,
Yeah.
fair enough.
Yeah.
But I know, and it seems to be all women that work at the reading room. So what do the other women do?
Okay, so we've got Michelle Van Beek that is our store manager. She's wonderful. She pulls it all together. Mary Keller that owns the reading room. She's had a couple stores here in Tsawwassen before. They were clothing lines, a men's clothing store. Then she moved to California for a while and she's been come back and opened this shop. So Michelle's the manager. There's 3 other employees we've just hired because we're expanding and because, we need to do this for you guys. We need to expand. You guys got to check it out. Don't ever be scared to come in. We're all really friendly. So Michelle knows a lot about the crystals and can help with that. She's got a lot of knowledge there too. I've got so-so knowledge. I teach more about crystal healing. Then we've got 4 readers. So we've got Angel. She's an angel card reader, go figure. We've got Catherine Grace, who is also one of my Vancouver card readers, and I got her on at the reading room. She does a lot of angel oracle cards. She's also a medium. She can see people crossed over. And she's also a tea leaf reader, and she does Reiki. And then we've got Trisha. Trisha does strictly tarot cards, right? And so a lot of you just know it as tarot cards. They're just a different card. I get a lot more information from the oracle cards than I do from tarot. Tarot's just like an older version of it all, right? Some people even use a normal playing deck and can do readings. And yeah, that's about all. So we've got about 4 on staff and the 4 readers. So we've got about 8 people on staff. I'm there every Tuesday and Thursday, but if you can't make that work, they'll also call me in, okay? And then my counseling hypnotherapy I do from home. Yeah. Any other questions or?
Nope.
You're all satisfied with everything? I thank you all for coming. This has been a delight. Just
Well,
a
Petra, we
delight.
thank you.
Thank you. Aw, thank you.
Okay, what I meant to do before I thank Tara Petra, I should say, was take my shoes off and connect. No, I'm keeping my socks on. I don't know much about this carpet. But I think just knowing, taking my shoes off now, why it's always felt so good to just kick off your sandals and your shoes while you're walking along the beach. And I always thought it just because I liked the gushy feel of the sand. Well, now I know I'm connecting to the other 83% of the world by virtue of taking off my shoes.
Yeah.
So, again, thank you very much, Petra. Thank you all for paying such good attention.